aiwa AI
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to this very important conversation on AI and the future of work in Africa, right here on Champions Network TV, the voice of the voiceless and the voice that speaks truth both to power and to the vulnerable. Tonight, we gather at a moment of great possibility around the world. Artificial intelligence is transforming industries, reshaping economies, and rewriting the very nature of work. For Africa, this is not just about catching up with the rest of the world. It is about seizing a unique opportunity to leapfrog, to innovate to our own in our own context, and to create solutions that speaks directly to realities of our people. But as we all know, opportunities always comes with challenges. Those are the things that we are going to discuss. And to help us begin our important journey tonight, I am honored to invite a visionary leader, a man deeply passionate about harnessing AI for progress, none other than Mr. Makombe. He will provide us with an overview to ground our conversation, guide the reflection that comes. So over to you, Makombe.
Good evening, panelists. Right, I'm honored to open crack this very important debate on Africanism and artificial intelligence. The whole story doesn't begin from artificial intelligence. Once upon a time, we had the agrarian revolution, we had digitalization, we had industrial revolution, and all these stages of life brought with them a way of living, a lifestyle development, and so on and so on. We went on to harness what we call modernity. Modernity simply means the quality of being current. We stayed at length in that sphere of thought until such time we went into post-modernity. Post-modernity simply means a period or movement representing the departure of the modern, and then enter what we call artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence simply means something not naturally occurring. Intelligence simply means abstract reasoning ability. So what makes artificial intelligence a big elephant in the room? It has brought with it a very unique system of automation. Automation has been made to marry with significant software hubs and knowledge base, knowledge hubs to create automation. We are going to see a lot of changes because of automation. Then there's the concept of Africa. Africa is a big, lovely continent. But are we on course to embrace this animal called artificial intelligence? There's a lot of propaganda out in the open that a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. But then on the other hand, they are talking about tender employment. Automation is going to facilitate pathways whereby anybody can name their price in terms of the services they can facilitate. So it's going to be everybody's game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Artificial Intelligence, your call. I'm Boss Capital Team.
Thank you very much. And the floor is open.
Okay. Good evening, good day, good whatever part of the day it is, wherever you are. I just want to add on what Mr. Makombe he has just said. And I see from what he has just said, he spoke about the automation. And then you are feeling very sorry for us in Africa here. That where are we? How are we going to embrace this challenge? So, yes, there is automation, but there are some kind of jobs that seem to be far-fetched to be done by AI, which still require the human intervention. I know there are some very technical things that have been developed. For instance, there's that hospital that I've just read about in China, where they say everything is done by AI, which actually then defeats the point that there will still be some other things that do not require AI. But anyway, for us in Africa, I would rather say it will take a long time to actually have us feel that impact, especially on the jobs. Because yes, there are some repetitive jobs, but the infrastructure that we have and the networking that is in this continent does not actually quickly make us to comply with the AI demands. Because we can't expect us to use the AI in a place where there's even no electricity, for instance. How do you communicate? And
AI
in
is
some instances, there's no even boosters for. Yes, I know if it is plugged into the system starts just going on doing what needs to be done. But can it
but
work without power?
but in all fairness and whatever, AI is about
Mhm,
automation. It's a way of life,
mhm,
a lifestyle thinking. It's
mhm,
mindset regeneration. I'm not
mhm.
expecting you to come with exorbitant knowledge evolving around electricity, or I'm not expecting you to know about digitalization. The starting point is
Okay,
let's and let's understand regeneration. Mindset regeneration is where we're starting from.
okay. So are you fitting into that AI, the empathy, the feeling of a human heart?
Um,
Okay, go on. Go
yeah,
on.
I think what we need to be mindful of, we are now living in a global village, and
Mhm.
what is happening on the other corner of the globe is going to affect us whether we like it or not. Hence, that's why we need to have a conversation that makes us get informed, so that sometimes we may want to hide our head in the sand, and before we know it, we will be crying foul. Just as we have been doing with all other technologies, we don't embrace, and when it doesn't go our way, we then cry foul. That's why I think that's why this conversation, we have to deal with this conversation with all boldness and fairness, not just taking a scapegoat to say because we don't have power, so we are not going to be affected by AI. Because if don't do, the advantage will be taken by those who are prepared for it.
I think the viewpoint that I'm putting across is that for the Westerners to get to AI, they passed through stages. They didn't just jump
It's not a
into
Western
AI.
argument,
Okay,
Jenna.
okay, the other part of the world, other than
It's not
Africa.
it's not a Western agenda. AI is about automation. It's about mindset regeneration. That's what we are on about. Whether you're black,
Yes.
white, or pink, or Chinese,
Oh,
that's
No,
what
but
is. That's the story.
I understand where Jenna is coming from. We need to learn these things from the ground. Because at the moment, I see, if even here, this AI thing, well, individually, we need to learn about it and understand individually. Not just I heard someone say AI. I heard, because I think we don't think these things affect us, and then they do.
no, they do affect us. They
Yes,
do affect us. We know that very well, but
yes,
we need some what can I say? Like in education, like what you are saying, the education part of it, how to get there. That mindset that
But then,
Akwame is talking about.
is it not? I spoke about the agrarian revolution, the industrial revolution, digitalization, modernity and postmodernity. I spoke about all these things, for a
Did
reason.
you pass through? But did Africa pass through
We
all
have
those?
passed through that, but you did not internalize that. We did not.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we did not. It was
Um,
just a story going by.
Mm,
Now it has come back to haunt us.
we,
yeah. Okay.
we have
Anyway, I can't
we have,
resist because we are the one
we,
who thought.
we have a listener that has just come by accident, and he has quite a lot of to evolve. That the AI is gonna be a bloodbath for anyone who is good enough in the service sector. In other words, being good enough is not enough. AI will affect you, and it goes on because good enough can now be done by the uh, large language models.
He's right. Look here, guys. I mean, if I can write a book in a week and manage to sell a few copies and make money, the chances of affluence are high, isn't it? Yeah. The problem is we did not invest enough vocabulary as regards what we are supposed to do. When we were embroiled in the agrarian revolution, we learned enough, but not much. When we were embroiled in digitalization, we learned enough, but not much. When went through industrial revolution, we learned much, but not enough. Modernity came, we became complacent. Post-modernity came, we started yawning. Seriously? Now AI has come, right? Artificial intelligence. Intelligence simply means abstract reasoning ability. So we can't complain, can we? We can't start saying, oh, by the way, we were not given enough chance to facilitate ABCD.
I think you posed some important questions when you said are we ready? And maybe we need to be unpacking that readiness. One of is it. I think it's part of it is the infrastructure. Do we have the infrastructure that facilitates?
We need infrastructure to have AI. Let's start from there.
Right. Come again. You said, do we need infrastructure?
Yeah.
So the question is, when we talk about infrastructure, what is it that we define as infrastructure, and do we have it in Africa? If not, what do we need to do?
The common denominator factor is automation. Automation. Automation is married to AI. That's the story so far. But then it gets complicated when other entities like AA agents, this and that, blockchain and all that become involved. That's where we get lost.
Right. Let's hear other voices in the house.
Perhaps there are certain questions we need to, answer. Am I live? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. When it comes to, infrastructure, I think we need to just accept the fact that, advanced digital infrastructure and high internet connectivity are, absolute must for, countries to enter the AI revolution successfully. And when we look at Africa, what are we talking about? What's the landscape? I think if you go online, you will find that countries like Mauritius are ranked as Africa's, almost ready nation because of their investments in things like, digital infrastructure and, connectivity. Countries like Egypt, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, they are creating, AI-powered solutions to tackle local challenges in healthcare, agriculture, education, and governance. So these are some of the, countries that are leading in terms of, AI readiness. Talking about the rest of Africa, I think we need to just admit the challenges that we face. Infrastructural gaps, like unreliable power, low digital literacy, limited data protection frameworks, that hinder progress. There's issues of regulatory weaknesses where governments need to strengthen their infrastructure and regulatory frameworks to realize, AI's potentials. And then, of course, we need to develop our skills. We may be behind in certain areas because we've not invested enough, but our young people are catching up. Oldies like us, who are foreigners to, digitalization. Some of our young people are natives. They're born, with screens and so on. And so those skills are fast, they are fast catching up. And given opportunity and given encouragement from their governments, I think that they'll be able to take advantage of, AI in the days to come. Of course, we talk about job losses and all that, but we also need to realize that 40% of the jobs that the current generation, guys that are being born today, 40% of the jobs that they are going to occupy have not been created yet. AI is going to create a massive, massive opportunities. There'll be massive jobs that will come as a result of AI. I think instead of, being on the fearful side, we need to realize that there are opportunities and really economic growth, social development, and all kinds of things are going to. I was looking at a statistic that says that AI could boost Africa's economy by $2.9 trillion by 2030, creating employment opportunities and lifting millions out of poverty. So as we discuss this, let's realize the opportunities. And really, instead of being afraid, I think we should get excited and look at how we can embrace, these opportunities, and how we can speed up the process. So obviously, there are challenges, serious challenges, but I think there are also serious opportunities.
Well, my response to that is,
Okay, thank you. I just got you there.
go on.
Yeah, go on.
Don't worry, Baba.
Okay. I just wanted to say, I just got what he is saying there, and it's actually in line with what I had already said before. And yes, we can talk about a lot of opportunities, which is a very great thing to talk about. But the issue is that for us to actually use that opportunity, the challenge would then be the skills, because there will be skills gap to get to us to understand how that AI works. Which means, yes, Mr. Makombe was talking about reskilling and upskilling and the mindset, right? But how long it takes for us to change, to get into the gear of the new skills being required. For instance, I think it was on Monday, we spoke about the curriculum, how our curriculum looks and what is happening. So because of the bureaucratic procedure of changing the curriculum of what is it that is going to be taught to the people, so that they can get the opportunity, they can actually seize the opportunity. That's why I was saying there is a little bit of a lag. It will take a little bit of time, more time than needed.
Okay. I get you. Is it by chance that people are talking about skills regeneration? Is it by chance?
I think you're on the same page. You're saying the same thing in different ways. Ameno Shumba.
Iwe ne uri kusiya argument yandoda kuita process uda kuunza nyaya yeshumbe.
But you're saying the same thing.
How are you saying you're saying the same
No,
thing?
but Makombe, what Jenna said, what Nkanza said, and what you said is the same thing. We need to people need to get skilled to use this. It's here now to stay. We need to
Jena
accept.
abvunza mubvunzo mapindure kana kuti hamuna kunzwa.
Daira ye.
Pirikira yawa Makombe mubvunzo wa Jena.
Jena abvunza mubvunzo daira.
I think we need to move the discussion forward. Mr. Makumbe, could you repeat your question so that we can try and move the needle forward a bit?
I've already forgotten my question, to be honest with you.
No, but
all right, if you've forgotten, then we'll take it from a different angle.
Yeah,
that's right.
Answer Jenna's question. Answer Jenna's question.
Jenna's question, I'm not in a position to answer because it's everybody's game and anybody's game. Jenna is simply saying, I mean, we are talking about infrastructure. How on earth are we going to facilitate this infrastructure you're talking about? What is the starting point as regards the infrastructure? We already people who have known something. Are they ready to go into their known world? That's what Jenna is saying. And rightly so, it's an effective argument.
Yeah.
I was just going to throw this question in. What's the positioning of the diaspora in terms of assisting with this, challenge? What's our responsibility in this group? What can we do to make a difference, on the continent in this regard? Most of us here, I think, in the group come from Zimbabwe. So the challenge that I would throw, to us is, what can we do to help speed up this process in Zimbabwe? And that would apply to, every African country, particularly those that are still, lagging behind. What is it? What steps can we take to help to, speed up things?
I'll try to answer that one, but I know my answer will be opening Pandora's box. Because it will start a new journey altogether. Because I'll say the first thing for us that you guys can do is to love your country, so that you can think of helping it to and do something better, instead of always looking at it like a thing that is good. That actually you can say there's nothing that can be done in there, or they cannot change, or you hide about talking about the leaders. They are there, yes. Maybe you might not like them or what have you, but let's get a solution. What can you do as the people that are in diaspora to get us through so that we can also compete globally? Politics aside.
I think first of all, we need to accept that this is here and this is for us as well. It's not a Western thing. How can we use it? Accept it, learn it, use it. We need
let's hear from the institution guru, Shumba.
Yeah, he's been wanting to talk. That's why I said Shu.
Yeah, no, I've just been listening. Sometimes it's good to listen to other people's ideas, and I think this is a wide topic. Like Misha always do injustice to us, that he takes a topic which really should be split into too many topics and just throw it as one topic. I think when you talk of AI, I think you need to really, you were supposed to split it up into parts, because there is, like Mr. Mkanka said, there is the infrastructure bit, there is the skills bit, and then there are other factors, that the innovation bit, and then the entrepreneurship bit. So all those are, you're supposed to take them into account. So when we talk of infrastructure, like Mr. Mkanka have just alluded, that in Africa, with this technology, this is defining the world as we know it. And whoever wins the AI race, I guarantee you, is gonna rule the world. Because right now, if you understand why America put sanctions on China to access the GPUs that run AI, it was precisely because of that point, that China now leads America in terms of energy. So one of infrastructure play that you need is, you don't need energy poverty, you need abundant energy to run these systems. And China is really focused on having sufficient energy to run these systems. I was speaking to Misha earlier, and I said, do you know about is it the 5 Gorges Dam or 3 Gorges Dam in China? The amount of water that it's holding now is actually, scientists have said, it's tilted the angle of the earth because of the amount of water there. And now if you go and look at the graphs of energy production between the US and China, China is surpassing the US now. So what did the US do? It had to curtail China because energy plus the chips, which NVIDIA in America is producing, would have meant China is in an unsaleable position. So America came in with the CHIPS Act. So infrastructure is very important. And when we talk of infrastructure, we're talking energy, we're talking the chips themselves. And then we're talking, like Mr. Mkanja said, you need the connectivity. And then you need that vision to say, for every child in Zimbabwe, it must be a must that every school have got Wi-Fi. Every school have got access to the internet, have got solar, so that even if you are still behind in terms of energy production, but at least your kids are beginning to play around with these systems. So there's a lot that we can really focus on, because AI is going to define all areas of human activity, from Jenna, because at one time I listened to Jenna talk about the revolution in agriculture, whereby if you look the transition of human societies, we used to, I think you said on 1 hectare, we used maybe to harvest 3 bags. And then it increased because of innovation. So the same applies to AI. It's human innovation to the scale that we are scaling past the Industrial Revolution, and we need to embrace it. And how we embrace it is the subject of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. If we can mute our phones sometimes when either your messages or comes into your phones, it will pop into the broadcast.
Okay, Shumba, you've spoken about the wide topic. Really, it's very wide, because there are also some other things that we haven't touched on. The ethical concerns and the socio-economic impact, especially knowing the way we are. I think you've seen Umba, you've seen what I've been posting at times about the concept of us making like a dead person something very big, and you see, so all those things are very important to us. So changing that myth is actually another big story.
Agreed.
One of the issues that was raised by Shumba had to do with practical steps that we need to start taking. Last week, I was in a conversation with some members of this group here about stuff that we should be doing in our villages back in Zimbabwe. And one of my concerns, just this week, in my homestead, we had Wi-Fi supplied by one of the service providers in the country, and they came back. They phoned me a couple of days ago and said they were moving over to Starlink. It's going to cost a little more, but the advantage of that is that it's unlimited. It just gives unlimited access. And I was thinking about that, and of course worrying about the cost. We're moving from $30-some to about maybe $79 a month. And in order to justify that in my mind, I started thinking about the kids in our village. There's a secondary school near us. There's a primary school that we have been given, control of. And I'm just dreaming about how to open a study center, at, the center that we've just opened, how to open a study center that will give kids access to, internet and Wi-Fi and so on, connectivity, bringing computers into the place. I mean, these kids have not had access to computers. They may have phones, but their knowledge is very limited. And I think if we focused on trying to at least, get them up to speed in terms of just using computers and, that kind of thing, get them to learn how to do research, how to use AI and so on. I think just those basics will help very much to get us ready for AI, and then they won't be scared about computers like some of us were initially. I think that aspect, Mr. Shumba, is very crucial.
And I think just as what you're saying, I think Zambia is moving in that direction. They've got what they call connectivity hubs, where they will build either centers or where people in the rural areas that it can cover a number of villages that they can go, and there's a Wi-Fi and nearby data centers as a way of making their people ready.
So I'm back to my song about our villages. What's your dream about your village? Your village could be Highfields or Mbare or whatever. My village happens to be in Logweru. What are you dreaming about your village, and what can you do to make a difference?
Tell us, diasporians.
I think acceptance for me is very, very important, because even now I work a lot with women. Things like website, people are still like, oh, you got a website, wow. We need to accept that this technology is here, and we need to accept that we need to learn about it. It's like mobile phones. Every time I get a new mobile phone, I have to learn how to use it. Okay, it's something that you have to accept that this technology is here. How can we use it in our community? Because all this technology can be useful in our community. It's not about them. It's about us. How can we use this technology in our community, small or big? What technology can we use? Accept that it's here. One, learn how it can help us. Learn how to use it. Because with technology, find we're taking too long to accept things. And then by the time we accept that we can actually have a website, there's now AI. By the time we accept that AI is here, there will be something new. We need to move on. We need to just learn these things and learn how they can enhance our lives and our businesses. Instead of saying, oh, AI, izvo ndo zvavoka vechirungu ava vapi.
Right, I heard the man was talking about the opportunities as well as the challenges. Now, I'm always one person who is very skeptical about these issues. These challenges will really they are real in Africa. For instance, if you look at the employment that is going to be cut down, the effect, we should plan on how to handle the effect. I'll give you a typical example of South Africa. The way they react when there are issues of that affect the jobs. The reaction is so weird, because you find them banning the refuge trucks, and that's about big violence that can spring up. So we should, in trying to embrace this, if it is going to touch on that raw nerve, then we must also have a plan B or a solution to what are we going to do about it. What is going to be the alternative income generation for those people that will have been affected by the introduction of the AI? Because it is real.
I think, Jenna, you said when you started, when I joined in, you said, let's leave politics aside. But to me, politics is paramount. It's the elephant in the room, whether we like it or not. Because your leaders, or the way you choose your leaders, are the reflection of your vision as a nation, where you want to go as a nation. Not naming names. If you ask me, who could have been the Minister of ICT? Who none other than Professor Atham Tambara, the person who really understands the ins and out of AI and how it's going to impact our economy. The guy has been writing books, he's been writing papers. He gets even to write papers for NASA. But when we talk of leadership, we go and take a nanny entity to lead that vital ministry. Anyway, I don't want to digress and to go into politics, but politics remains the elephant in the room. What I like with the vision that Mr. Mkanja is proposing now is the politics is not going to go away. We have the leaders. I'm being realistic and pragmatic. We have what we have. But what do we as citizens or people in diaspora do to remedy the situation? So what we do is now these centers of excellence that Mr. Mkanja is talking about, where I focus, like I look at the schools that I went to and say, what can I do to help those schools? Can I put in Starlink so that those kids can have internet connectivity? Can I buy like tablets, or can I put desktop which they can use? So those are the things that we in diaspora can actually do on the ground rather than crying about the politics. We have to be pragmatic and do real change, do things that bring that real change that we desire.
I think real change comes through the people. People have got an important convenience role to play in orchestrating change. As long as we don't follow that pathway, it will be very difficult to bring about the desired change. What tends to happen is crowds create currency, and that currency leads on to some developmental structures if we position ourselves correctly. So those are some of the things you've got to start considering. Because if we start thinking about crowdfunding, the essence of crowds, positioning, brand knowledge, then we're good to go. If we do not do that, it will not happen. We need to start teaching our crowds the correct language, the correct story. We need to come up with the correct narrative to ensure we create a new mindset in whoever wants to follow the futuristic world.
I think it's also important for us to use the platforms that we have at our disposal, already. The things that you're talking about, probably, have limits in terms of, who are you reaching? What is the extent of your influence when we talk about crowds and so on? I keep drilling down to the issue of what influence do you have right now, and are you using it, to maximum capacity? I think let's take responsibility and do what we can do with what we have. And then as doors open, perhaps, our little story will impact others. If we think about the diaspora element when it comes to Zimbabwe, the remittances to Zimbabwe are actually what's sustaining the economy in the country, the remittances from the diaspora, which means that we have incredible power and influence that we're not using correctly. I think if we channeled our influence in a different direction, we could have different results.
I don't see it that way, because the politics involving our crowds is so customized in one direction, to the point that if you come with a different narrative, you could be found stuck. Yes, it's okay to talk about remittances being channeled to Zimbabwe and being used in different, projects and so on and so on. That is a bigger story than anything else. You talk of remittances, you want to talk war. Full stop. We need to start from the ground roots. And the moment we start talking about ground roots and our crowds, the people we relate to, then we can start orchestrating change. We cannot start talking about change when the people around us or around our environment don't believe in us. So far, they do not believe in us. You may argue it differently, but our poor don't believe in us. Because they'll simply tell you, I'm embroiled in poverty, so what changes are you going to bring? Like Shumba said, the moment we start talking about this, we go into the minefield of politics.
I'm a little concerned that, our focus can be so much on the obstacles and not on the opportunities that are there. So my little encouragement tonight would be, yes, we do have incredible obstacles, but again, with those obstacles, are opportunities that we can, shift. So I don't want to dwell on the fact that, there are these huge obstacles that are immovable. I'm a firm believer that 1% can make a difference, and that instead of focusing on the problem, we should focus on what we can do. I want to push this back to the group to say, let's take responsibility. Let's stop analyzing and worrying about this problem and that problem. Let's look at what we can do, and let's do what we can.
There's a contribution from a viewer there. I think is talking about you can't compete globally. You can't compete globally. The Americans, the foundation models, they have first-hand access to GPUs. They have the data centers and the cheap electricity to power them. Nobody can compete with them. Go on, Shumba.
No, that's where I disagree with him. Yeah, China is competing with them. China doesn't have the GPUs, but they have the electricity to power those GPUs. So that's why America came with the CHIPS Act. Where I think, going back to Mr. Mkanja, where I differ with him slightly is I think politics determines everything. Because the reason why we as Africa, let's take one company, NVIDIA, the ones that making GPUs. You look at the market cap of NVIDIA, you're talking of almost same as the GDP of the whole of Africa put together.
Mm.
So if you're just talking of one company, that level of wealth disparity is going to play out on a bigger scale. So it's really up to our governments to wake up. In as much as we don't want to focus on the negatives, we can do our little bit, but this game is for governments to play. The governments that don't play this game right, which means you're going to be at the receiving end of the geopolitics play in the world. Because you need to already, let's take the example of the sanctions that Zimbabwe went under. What are the sanctions all about? How is it America can impose sanctions on us? It's because, similar to AI, America in the 40s, 50s created a global financial architecture with SWIFT. And they controlled that SWIFT system. And we were sleeping to it. So as a result, if I want to move money from here, it has to hop onto the American system. Even within countries, the system is so powerful that even when I was reading that, if I'm sending someone money in the UK, it seems like I'm just sending pounds to, but it touches that American controlled system. So that's why America can actually pinpoint an individual in the UK and say, we're going to sanction him and your bank accounts are closed in the UK. Because America will say, we don't want you to touch our system. So this is where Zimbabwe sanctions came in to say, overnight we were told Zimbabwe cannot touch the US system. Now we are building even powerful systems with AI. What will become of us if, let's say, America dominates the world, like Gabloop is saying? If America dominates this technology, which means the sanctions, if they ever come, God forbid, you know. So this is the kind of power that we're talking about, that now what we are talking about is government taking ownership and guiding the vision of the adoption of AI within the country. Yes, we can play our part if the government is not, but really the responsibility should be with the government.
So, Mr. Shumba, how do we influence government? What are some of the steps? What are some of the things we as diasporans can do to try and influence policy?
I think part of it, the problem that the diaspora found themselves in, is when we talk of politics, it's all about criticism. It's not about building anything. It's not about offering solutions, right? So this is where you, Mr. Mkanja, is coming in to say, rather than looking at the politics as it is, instead, you can nudge the government in a certain way to say, let's create pressure groups whereby you, Mr. Mkanja, with your idea of centers of excellence, we come in, everyone imitate what you are doing. Tomorrow, I went to Mukai High School. Tomorrow, Mukai has got a Starlink, and the kids have got access to the internet. It's one person. Maybe I can pressure my friends all who went to Mukai for us to share in that. And then the next, maybe the government will start noticing that we are really for change. We are not just criticizing the government for the sake of it, because the feedback they'll be hearing from those schools that we would have made a difference, I think will nudge people to act in a better direction or in a better manner.
Can I just say two things in response to that? Number one, I've been in touch with diasporans from my village, and we formed a group that we are, working with to try and bring about change or make a difference in our, in our village. Secondly, when we started getting involved, I got into serious trouble with the MP because he felt that,
now you're
I was
talking.
campaigning.
This is what we were talking about.
All right, okay, but let me just take it a little further. He felt that, I was setting up the stage to campaign as the next MP in the village. We had a serious battle. I fought a serious battle where I told him that I wasn't interested in cheap, politics, that my position as a minister was more important than, as a minister of religion, was more important than as a minister of government. And that if I really wanted to be in politics, I wouldn't compete with him. I would compete with the president. I mean, I was cheeky. But anyway, we've since reconciled. He lost his position, by the way, and I've still got my position as a minister of religion. So we've since moved on, and he's kind of we reconciled, and I've got now to a point where the next MP saw what was happening, and instead of fighting me, is actually encouraging. So those little steps can actually lead to bigger steps. And I believe that our voice as a village will probably grow as we build this model and this example, and will grow maybe to a point where we can influence, future politicians without getting into the fray ourselves.
Let's now prepare to wind down and maybe giving our final thoughts. I think the main question in the house, and I think which every one of us has to answer, is what are we going to do to the community that you come from? It might be Highfield, it might be Omrambita, Kulotito, wherever. What difference are you going to make? As to platforms, Champions Network TV is going to continue to be a voice for the voiceless and bring these issues to a wider conversation. You never know whoever listens to this conversation will start another conversation with other people, where light and the ripple effect can go. But as I said, we need to be winding down. We are nearly an hour into this discussion. If we can prepare to give our final thoughts.
Okay. My final thought is, I think I agree with Shumba when he said we can't just say this is too hard, or America can do it and we can't do it. We have to learn and take from ground up as well. We can't just give up and say because America has got it, no other country can do it. That's not a good attitude at all, because then we just sit back and not even learn it, not even do it. The other countries who are doing it, believe it or not, it took them years to get where they are. It can also take us years to learn and get to a point where we are an economically successful country. So we can't sit back and just say, well, America has got it or China has got it. What can we do? Let's work together and learn these new technologies coming in and use them to our advantage, so that our countries, our Africa also can proceed towards prosperity. Thank you.
taura kachena naye.
I see the host actually switched my mic out the whole time, so I don't even know where to start from. Okay, I'll try to make some loose ends. Right, Gandla has just been talking, and I was so much enjoying what he was saying when he spoke about the I concept that was introduced by Mr. Makombe. He's saying everything starts with me, not start with institutions like Shumba, where you say the institutions should be the no, everything starts from him. Listen to what he said he has done already. But despite the political landscape, despite all those difficulties, if you just have got the I concept and the concept of nyika inovakwa nevene vayo, and taking yourself to be one of them, strive to make a difference. You can't be looking at what other people are doing if you really want to effect a change. The change comes from you. Go to your primary school, donate a computer, pay for the electricity bill, or set something there. Whether the country is being ruled by who or who, that won't affect you. If you want to actually get your people from your village to be recognized in the future, you know what you'll be doing. You want them to be compliant to the AI. The system does not accept it. The system has got nothing put in place for that. But you, as being a person who is in diaspora and knowing the need for that, then you effect it slowly, slowly. You bite one bite at a time. Eventually, that elephant is going to be finished by those only single bites. So let's not jump onto the world stage. Then I want to go into the issue of that Shumba had spoken about. I would have responded that time, but my mic was off. Where you were talking about the ICT minister. You know, it boils down again to the institutions. I'll give you another example. Tulingwe was working for what? For the World Bank. So can we say he wasn't up to the point with the knowledge of the economics?
No. Don't
So because
go
of
there.
that,
Don't
just wait.
go
So
there.
because
Is
of,
the problem.
no, but listen, because of such things now, we don't have to just look at the intellectuals as they are. Because when they get into institutions, sometimes you get diluted, or sometimes you get into a place where you are told what to do despite what you have brought. So the idea is the same. It will still boil back to what Mkandla was saying. Do what you can yourself. Don't stand up and say a lot of people are not doing. No, that has nothing to do with you. Do your part, small
No,
part.
no,
You eventually grow.
no, I disagree. I think I will end up with disagreeing with you. I will totally disagree because politics, I think, defines who you want to be as a nation. Politics defines the vision of you as a people. I remember when Mugabe came into power, because of his visionary leadership, he said everyone needs to go to school. Everyone. That was a national vision. So when we talk of national vision, we're talking a national vision for AI. Just like Mugabe had a national vision for the education of the totality of the Zimbabwean people. So leadership is very important. The people who lead institutions are very important. That's where the vision of you as a people come. Yes, I can have my personal vision as an I concept, but nationally, as a country, you need visionary leaders who gonna, because we are in a world of geopolitics, a dog-eat-dog world. So you need people who are geared to have a fight. Where I disagreed with you about Mthuli Ncube, for me, Mthuli is part of the Western consensus. When we talk of the Western consensus in monetary terms, he's part of the cabal that runs the world. He's actually diverts that what you did in agriculture with taking control. We also should do that in terms of our currency, taking control. But we have married ourselves to these systems, which Mthuli subscribes to, the World Bank and the IMF. And these are not instruments that will make Zimbabwe financially independent. We will be tied to the same sort of merry-go-round, whereby they believe that the way IMF works is they deal in sovereign debt, whereby they keep you in constant poverty, in constant debt. That's how they benefit. And you don't have money to develop all other areas. This is where my grapple with Mthuli is. So to end my talk, I would just say, for me, I believe in national leadership, in national vision. This is where you look at China. When Chairman Mao came, he moved the heaven and the earth to give China a new direction and a new impetus. So we need that as Zimbabwe to say, we need leaders who are gonna take the country and move it in a certain direction. Mugabe did it with education. He took everyone to believe in the education story, and we all did. That's why even up to now, there are no people, I could say, in the world that believe in education as Zimbabweans. So this is the national vision we need in all sectors, whether it's in AI, in healthcare, that we can do better than everyone else as long as we have the vision and the leadership to do it. I end here.
You're all muted, guys.
Oh. Unejera sevon.
Mija, you're muted. Everyone who's talking is muted. We can't hear you.
When Jenna is speaking, I mute everyone else, because when he is speaking, and if anyone else is unmuted, there will be feedback. That's why I mute people when Jenna is speaking.
Okay. The long and short of it all, we need to facilitate visionary thinking. We need to create engineering features that make our constructive purpose reliable and actionable. So far, we do not have them. Like my learned friend said, Robert Mugabe managed to facilitate a vision via the education pathway. He facilitated a vision via the reconciliation pathway, of which a lot of citizens bought into it, and world scholars bought into his story until things went haywire. So the same can be applied via the AI pathway. The AI pathway is a big narrative which needs a lot of investment from academics, local people, and people who are ready to learn from others. It's what we call I live with others concept. As long as we don't engage, then it's not going to happen. As long as we don't invest in those institutional cultures that facilitate things to happen, or positioning structures things will not happen. I'm inviting everybody to subscribe to the narrative of IA at a grand scale. The top should be AI is a national vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mkanda, do you have any final remarks? Let me
Out the small parts, the tail, the ears, and I mean, we've touched on several aspects of several parts of the elephant, all very necessary. Whether you're talking about the big picture, like Mr. Shumba comes from, or the small part that, like I come from, and anything in between. It's all part of what we need in order to tackle, this problem. So none of those elements are irrelevant. They are all, part and parcel of what we need to do to, to tackle this issue. So thank you for everyone's passion. I mean, we'll all have passions about, aspects of this. Mr. Shumba, you could actually lead a revolution. I can see you leading an army to to change the government and put everybody out. I mean, if you can do that, wonderful. I'm not suggesting you topple the government, but I'm saying if you can get involved in the minister or something wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Mija, I wanted to. The two articles that I've sent to you, which you can share so that people can read. I've written about from ship wars to chip wars, the fight for global dominance, on my blog, and the other one I wrote is China solar and battery dominance. Are we going into these types of civilizations? I think we are in type 0. We can move on to type 2 and then type 3, human civilization. So when we talk of type 1 human civilization, we are spacefaring beings going to Mars, going to all the planets, because we have got that energy capacity to enable that. So you can share the two articles that I've written about these things.
Okay, thank you very much, and let me give the final remarks that are the summary of the final remarks that I have here. Started off with Shumba, with Soko, who says we need to take initiative, and for us to prosper, we need to embrace AI. And Shumba says politics defines everything about what we do as a nation. And he articulates and he says we need national leaders who articulate national vision, and gave an example of Robert Mugabe. And Jenna says he has got the I concept. We need to start where we are so that we can influence. He disagrees with the Shumba when it comes to the Minister Mutuli, because he thinks Mutuli is part of the system, so that's why he's inefficient. And I think Shumba thinks Mutuli is a Western project. We don't know, but from Amakombe, I think he has got. We need to embrace AI on a grand scale, or we must actually have an AI vision, just like we had educational vision, just like we had a vision for everything under Mugabe. Mr. Mukanda says everything that we have spoken about at different parts is all important. It's part of the elephant. It is important. We can't negate, and we need to take everything that we have talking about. So I want to thank all our panelists and all the audience that have been listening to us to such a rich, forward-thinking discussion tonight. Is that artificial intelligence is not a distant conversation. It is here with us to stay reshaping the world, and Africa must decide whether to play a part or not. We have seen that opportunities are immense. AI can drive growth, like Mr. Mukandev actually said that there's a potential to grow our economies by 2.5 trillion by 2030, and our young people can transform our economies. We have got young people who are native to AI technology, so we just need to embrace to support them. Of course, we need infrastructure. We need a collective shift in our mindset, and we have all heard the call for diaspora to take responsibility to invest not just in big cities, but our villages. Our schools, where we went to primary school, to secondary school, our universities, and we also need to invest in our children. The dream of a future where every child in Africa learns with connectivity, where every community has access to digital knowledge, start with steps we can commit today. Yes, politics is the elephant in the room, but change does not wait on politics alone. Real change begins with us, as Mr. Makomba said, with us as people, as collectively. Who can act, who can build. And if we combine our voices, our vision, and our actions, Africa will not just survive the AI revolution, we will thrive in it. As Champion Network TV, we will continue to play our part as a platform of truth, encouraging action, inspiring responsibility. The future of Africa belongs to us all if we dare to take it. Let's live tonight with one conviction. AI is not just a human innovation, it is a call to Africa to rise, to reimagine, and to lead. The time is now. And with that, I say good night.